And then she told us that we were effing insane, and that we
and she's like, and she went like this.
Insane.
Yeah. She's like, you better stop this
and stop pulling
shit.
this. Yeah.
And
for you guys
I
to
hope
come
God
here
can
and
save
pull
you.
This. Yeah.
She said, for you to come here and pull this shit.
Yeah.
She said the word.
Yeah.
Did she say effing insane or the fucking
No,
insane?
she said the word. Yeah.
And nobody around you spoke up for you.
No.
No.
I will say, Annalie, when I came over, you were in tears.
Yeah, I've never been yelled at like that. I mean, I've had people hate on me on the internet, but like it doesn't really affect me as much because it's just people online. But that just took me by surprise because I thought she was gonna be nice, and then she starts like.
The WNBA just imploded, and the seismic shockwaves are tearing the entire basketball world apart at its absolute seams. In a move that has sent terrifying tremors through locker rooms, executive boardrooms, and millions of stunned fans across the globe, Sophie Cunningham has officially been handed down a ruthless, unprecedented league ban. But this was no routine disciplinary suspension, and it certainly was not about a technical fall or an accidental sideline outburst. No, this was a calculated, high-stakes execution designed to silence her before the truth destroyed everything. For months, whispers of a toxic, protected hierarchy inside the league's inner sanctum had been suffocating players behind closed doors. But Sophie did the unthinkable. She broke the ultimate code of silence and publicly exposed the untouchable legacy of Brittney Griner. What she uncovered wasn't just a simple personal rift or standard trash talk. It was a deeply buried, explosive web of favored treatment, hidden league protection, and raw intimidation that threatened to shatter Griner's iconic status forever. Now, with Sophie forcibly silenced, the league office is in full-blown, chaotic panic. Caitlin Clark is caught directly in the crossfire, and the entire WNBA is teetering on the edge of utter collapse. To truly comprehend the catastrophic explosion rocking the league today, you have to rewind to where this simmering animosity first took root. For years, Brittney Griner stood as an infallible, untouchable titan of the WNBA, a protected superstar whose formidable presence on the hardwood commanded absolute obedience from referees, executives, and players alike. Behind the scenes, her towering influence created an unspoken iron curtain inside league circles, where young stars learned very quickly to keep their heads down, toe the corporate line, and never, ever question the established hierarchy. Enter Sophie Cunningham. Known across the basketball world for her relentless grit, fierce independence, and unapologetic refusal to bow down to anyone, Sophie represented a new, fearless wave of athletes who refused to play by the league's hidden rules. While others walked on eggshells around Griner's legendary status, Sophie watched from the sidelines as the emotional temperature inside the locker room reached a dangerous boiling point. She witnessed how refereeing calls magically shifted whenever Griner stepped onto the floor, how media narratives were carefully sanitized to protect her image, and how younger players were quietly intimidated into absolute silence whenever tensions boiled over during physical, high-stakes games. The boiling point arrived during a brutally intense, highly physical showdown that left the entire arena holding its breath. Caught right in the center of the storm was Caitlin Clark, the young phenom whose meteoric rise had already destabilized the league's traditional power dynamics. During a fierce defensive possession, Griner delivered a crushing, unwhistled body check that sent Clark crashing violently to the hardwood. While the referees turned a blind eye and the arena erupted in chaotic shouting, it was Sophie Cunningham who stepped directly between Clark and Griner, eyes burning with fury, refusing to let the league's protected giant push the rookie around. That explosive court confrontation shattered whatever fragile piece remained between the two stars. In the days that followed, the locker room transformed into a psychological war zone. Teammates were forced to pick sides, hushed conversations died down the moment officials walked into the room, and the emotional toll began suffocating everyone involved. Sophie wasn't just defending a teammate. She was challenging a deeply entrenched culture of double standards that had quietly governed the WNBA for over a decade. Deep down, Sophie knew that taking on the league's protected elite meant putting a massive target on her own back. Whispers began circulating through executive corridors that Cunningham was becoming too loud, too unpredictable, and far too dangerous to the league's carefully crafted public image. But Sophie refused to back down. Every glare exchanged in the tunnel, every missed foul call on the court, and every subtle attempt by team officials to quiet her down only fueled her resolve. She began quietly documenting the behind-the-scenes favoritism, gathering evidence of a toxic internal environment that no one else was brave enough to confront. The stage was set for a historic collision, and the entire league was sitting on a ticking time bomb, completely unaware of the explosive storm Sophie was about to unleash. The uneasy silence finally shattered during an explosive late-night press conference that no one in the sports world will ever forget. Pushed to her absolute limit after another night of blatantly biased officiating and intense locker room intimidation, Sophie Cunningham sat down in front of a wall of flashing cameras, took a deep breath, and unleashed absolute nuclear war on the WNBA establishment. She didn't just voice mild frustration. She tore down the entire corporate curtain. With tears of raw anger in her eyes, Sophie laid out a chilling, detailed account of systematic favoritism, accusing top league officials of actively shielding Brittney Griner from disciplinary actions while penalizing anyone who dared to challenge her authority on the court. The press room went dead silent as Sophie revealed that behind-the-scenes directives were allegedly handed down to referees before major games, instructing them to protect Griner's physical play at all costs to preserve the league's marquee storylines. She claimed that younger stars, including Caitlin Clark, were being subjected to unsafe, targeted physical hostility, while the front office turned a deaf ear to official complaints. Sophie's raw, unfiltered exposure of the league's inner sanctum instantly set social media ablaze, racking up tens of millions of views within hours and triggering a massive, polarized divide among fans, analysts, and fellow players across the country. Then came the first breathtaking, heart-stopping twist that left the entire basketball community gasping for air. Just hours after the press conference went viral, the WNBA front office didn't launch an internal investigation into the corruption allegations. Instead, they executed a swift, ruthless strike directly against the whistleblower. In a secret emergency meeting convened in the dead of night, Commissioner Cathy Engelbert and executive board members handed down an immediate, indefinite league ban to Sophie Cunningham, citing conduct detrimental to the integrity of the WNBA. The official announcement hit the news wires like an atomic bomb, dropping right before sunrise. But the real horror wasn't just the ban itself. It was the leaked inner memo that surfaced shortly after. The leaked document revealed a terrifying truth. The push for Sophie's instant ban didn't originate from standard league operations, but was personally demanded by high-ranking officials acting directly on behalf of Griner's management team, who threatened to pull major sponsorship deals and boycott upcoming international showcases if Sophie wasn't permanently erased from the court. The realization hit like a freight train. Sophie had been set up and silenced by the very hierarchy she tried to expose. The league was in absolute chaos. Player union reps were frantically calling emergency meetings, and Caitlin Clark was left standing alone in the locker room, holding proof of an even bigger conspiracy that was about to blow the whole scandal wide open. The moment Sophie's indefinite ban hit the airwaves, the WNBA exploded into unprecedented structural chaos, escalating from a fiery locker room dispute into a full-scale institutional crisis. Players across all 12 franchises threatened a league-wide strike, refusing to step onto the court for pre-game warm-ups. Emergency union calls degenerated into shouting matches, with veteran stars defending Griner's legacy while a fierce coalition of younger players rallied around Cunningham's stand for accountability. Behind closed doors at league headquarters, executive boardrooms turned into war zones. Sponsors began freezing multi-million-dollar marketing campaigns, terrified of being linked to allegations of systemic cover-ups and targeted silencing. Cathy Engelbert was bombarded with resignation demands from enraged fan collectives and prominent sports analysts. Yet, instead of backing down, the front office doubled down, issuing strict gag orders to all coaching staffs, threatening heavy fines for any player who dared to publicly mention Sophie Cunningham's name during post-game media sessions. In the middle of this suffocating lockdown, Caitlin Clark found herself in an impossible position. Pressure mounted from every direction. League execs urged her to stay quiet to protect the WNBA's explosive commercial growth, while fans practically begged her to leverage her massive platform to demand justice for her teammate. For days, Clark maintained a tense, uneasy silence as security detail around team facilities tripled to handle the swelling crowds of protesting fans outside the arenas. Then dropped the second major twist that completely paralyzed the sports world. During a primetime national broadcast that was supposed to focus on a high-stakes matchup between the Indiana Fever and the Phoenix Mercury, Caitlin Clark walked out onto the hardwood carrying an unmarked black folder. Before tip-off, instead of lining up for the jump ball, Clark walked straight to the scorer's table, plugged a personal flash drive directly into the arena's media display network, and broadcasted private, encrypted audio logs onto the stadium's jumbotron. The leaked audio was a secret recording from inside an executive meeting just 48 hours prior. It wasn't just Griner's representation demanding Sophie's ban. It was a high-level league official explicitly planning to alter refereeing assignments for upcoming playoff games to systematically sabotage any team that publicly supported Cunningham. The entire arena went dead quiet before erupting into utter bedlam as the broadcast was frantically cut to commercial, leaving millions of viewers watching a frozen screen while team owners scrambled off the sidelines in absolute panic. The arena's sudden silence gave way to absolute pandemonium, and within minutes, the fallout spilled far beyond the stadium walls and onto the national stage. The leaked audio sent shockwaves straight to the highest levels of sports media and public discourse. Major news networks broke into regularly scheduled programming, framing the controversy not just as a sports feud, but as a monumental collapse of corporate integrity, transparency, and fairness in professional athletics. Outside league venues across the country, thousands of enraged fans assembled in massive rallies, holding signs of support for Sophie Cunningham and demanding the immediate resignation of the executive board. Social media platforms completely buckled under the weight of millions of trending posts as the hashtag demanding justice for Sophie shattered viewership records worldwide. The public reaction was swift, ruthless, and unified. The WNBA's carefully cultivated image of progressiveness and unity was completely disintegrating in real time. Inside the locker rooms, the psychological toll reached a devastating breaking point. The Indiana Fever and Phoenix Mercury rosters were left emotionally shattered, with players openly breaking down in tears on the sidelines as security escorted officials off the floor. The trust between players, management, and the league office was entirely obliterated. Teammates who had shared the court for years were now divided by bitter silence, unable to look each other in the eye amid the overwhelming paranoia of who else might be compromised. Brittney Griner found herself at the epicenter of an unprecedented public backlash, facing relentless pressure from media outlets and fans alike, while security details around her were drastically increased to manage the soaring hostility. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark sat isolated in the trainer's room after the broadcast cutoff, surrounded by legal advisors and team security, facing the grim reality that her heroic whistleblowing had effectively placed her own legendary career on the chopping block. The emotional weight on Sophie Cunningham was immense. Watching the league she had given her life to tear itself apart from a hotel room miles away, she was forced to process the crushing reality of her ban alongside the terrifying scale of the movement she had ignited. She hadn't just exposed a protected hierarchy, she had unwittingly exposed a deeply rooted culture of fear that had held the entire sport hostage for years, and now, there was no turning back for anyone involved. Just when the sports world believed the scandal had hit its absolute peak, a final, earth-shattering disclosure dropped that changed the entire playing field. Deep within the encrypted files released from that arena media server sat a second, heavily protected petition that legal teams had desperately tried to scrub from the public record. When independent cyber analysts finally unlocked the code, the contents didn't just expose league executives. They unveiled a secret multi-year collusion agreement involving top franchise owners, broadcast partners, and high-ranking league operatives. The leaked documents revealed that Sophie Cunningham's sudden ban was never just a reaction to a single press conference or a feud over Brittney Griner. It was part of a pre-planned, coordinated campaign designed to systematically eliminate vocal athletes who threaten the front office's tightly controlled commercial narrative. Even more shocking, the files contained a hit list of 5 additional star players, including marquee names across multiple franchises, who were slated for quiet disciplinary benchings and fabricated media character assassinations before the upcoming postseason. As news of the secret manifest swept through the sport like wildfire, the WNBA headquarters was placed on total emergency lockdown. Federal oversight bodies and corporate sponsors immediately launched independent financial and ethical audits, threatening to freeze all league funding overnight. Inside the Indiana Fever facility, Caitlin Clark stood alongside a faction of courageous union representatives, holding the master drive that contained the remaining unreleased audio files, the definitive proof that could completely dismantle the league's executive structure forever. Then, the ultimate cliffhanger struck, sending a chilling shockwave through millions of waiting fans across the globe. Just as Sophie Cunningham prepared to go live on a global broadcast to deliver her final, unfiltered statement, every official WNBA media channel abruptly went black. Seconds later, a cryptic, single-line press release from an undisclosed legal firm flashed across national sports tickers. Effective immediately, all disciplinary records are subject to federal seal, and a league-wide restructuring protocol has been initiated. Was Sophie's ban about to be permanently locked away behind closed judicial doors? Or was this the final desperate gasp of a collapsing empire before the full truth shattered the WNBA beyond recognition? This is without a doubt the most explosive, career-shattering scandal in WNBA history, and the fight for the truth is far from over. The league wants this covered up, but the fans hold the real power now. What do you think about Sophie Cunningham's ruthless ban? Did she do the right thing by standing up and exposing the truth, or was the league justified in trying to shut it down? And where do you stand on Caitlin Clark's shocking, high-stakes move on the Jumbotron? Sound off in the comments below right now. Let's get this debate roaring. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and slam that notification bell so you never miss a single update as this historic story unfolds in real time.